Hey, how's it going?
Good. I've got an 1884 Colt that was in the Wyoming Range Wars and the book that goes with it.
There's nothing like a good book after a good shooting.
That's what I always say. I came here today to sell a gun owned by Fred Coates that was intimately involved in the Wyoming Range Wars. I'm hoping to get $55,000, but I would settle on $45,000 because my mother needs the money.
So how exactly did you get the gun?
My father got this from the great-great-granddaughter of Fred Coates, who was one of the guys in the Wyoming Range Wars.
All right. The range wars were basically large cattle barons feuding with really small cattle ranchers. The small guys were stealing cattle from the big guys, and you had the large cattle barons basically hiring their own lawmen. A lot of people just called them thugs. It was just a massive lawless state. So who exactly was Fred Coates?
He was a sheriff in the area that was hired by the land barons to drive the little guys out of town, either by hanging or killing.
So depending on which side you were on, he was either a villain or a hero.
Exactly. Whoever had the biggest checkbook.
So what's the deal with the book?
This book was written by a newspaper publisher during the Range Wars, and on page 140, it reads, "I understood the parties involved in this assault were Frank Canton, Tom Smith, and Fred Coates."
Okay. So what proof do you have that this belonged to Coates?
I have a letter from his great-great-granddaughter, who she inherited it from.
To whom it may concern, I am Ellen Lenore Coates. This Colt 45 revolver, serial number 110935, that my grandfather used in Johnson County was inherited by me. All right, this is all the paperwork you have?
I got the original Colt letter of authenticity.
When you get a letter from Colt, you send them in the serial number, and they send back all their information on that gun. So you want everything to match. Like, this says it's got 45 caliber. This is a 45 caliber. It's a 5.5-inch barrel. That's a 5.5-inch barrel. So everything's matching up. Colt firearms are definitely great collectibles, even when they're not in great shape. But when you throw in a personal story that actually ties a cowboy to a gun, that's the kind of thing collectors love. What were you looking to do with the gun?
I'd like to sell it.
Okay. How much were you looking to get out of it?
I'd like $55,000.
$55,000?
Because of the history involved in this gun and book.
Well, it's definitely a Colt single-action army. It's seen its better days. The nickel is worn off. You can tell it was in someone's holster every day. You know, I know what a revolver like this in this shape is worth. My problem is I need to find out, did this Coates guy actually own it? So let me get someone down here. He'll tell me if it actually belonged to this guy.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
I have no doubt in my mind that this gun belonged to Fred Coates and it was in the Wyoming Range Wars, and I look forward to his expert coming in and looking at it.
Jeffrey, how's it going?
Rick, it's nice to see you. How you doing? I am the Gamble Curator at the Autry National Center, and I specialize in Western history and firearms.
Well, this is what I called you about. It's an 1884 Colt. I'll agree with that. But he thinks it's historically significant.
Can you tell me a little bit about it?
It belonged to Fred Coates and was tied to the Wyoming Range Wars.
Okay. The Johnson County Range War was one of the last great range wars in the history of the American West. Basically, it was a control over the land and who was going to control the cattle industry. The Johnson County Range War was a time when the American frontier was coming to a close. The kind of Wild West that we think of today was moving towards a really urban, industrial society. Rick, do you have any concerns about this particular piece?
I want to know if it was actually his.
Okay.
We have the Colt letter, which is not going to tell you if it was his.
Right, it's going to tell you where it was shipped, what it basically looked like when it left the factory.
And we have this letter right here.
Okay. So this looks to be a notarized letter that is giving some of the provenance of the particular piece that was passed down through the Coates family. Now, one of the things that kind of just jumps out at me immediately is this documentation is done in 2 different ink colors. And then this part that directly references the Colt is listed in a different ink color.
So do you think this actually belonged to Coates?
Basically, with what we have here, it's really hard to make that connection.
It looks to me to be the same handwriting, but just a different color ink.
Yeah, but even if the ink looked fine, everything about this looked right, you need to be able to trace it a little bit more. If the Colt letter stated, for example, that it was shipped to Wyoming, it would be another piece of information that we could use to help further justify that. We can't say definitively that this particular gun was owned by Fred Coates.
So basically the value of this gun is the value of a 1884 Colt single-action Army that's pretty beat up.
Exactly. I mean, you know more probably than any one of us here how much something like that goes for in your shop.
Okay. Thanks, man. I
Thanks,
appreciate
Rick.
it.
It was good to see you.
I do not agree with anything the expert said. I've followed the ancestry, I've done it all. It goes right down. I mean, it just goes right to Fred Coates.
I know you wanted over 50 grand, but the offer I'd make on it is for a beat-up Colt single-action Army. So I'd give you like 1,500 bucks.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna be able to do that. I think maybe I'll see if I can maybe get some more provenance.
Better luck next time.
Thanks. I think what I'm gonna do is do a little more research, see if I can definitively connect the gun to Coates through the place it was sold to in New York, and then go from there.
Can I help you with something?
I brought something I'd like to show you.
Okay. I'm assuming that's a guitar.
Not just any guitar. This is Semie Mosley's personal blue gospel guitar prototype.
A Mosrite. Well, hallelujah.
Semie Mosley was a great gospel musician. He founded the Mosrite Guitar Company, and I got this guitar directly from Semie Mosley 44 years ago. I know it's really rare, so it's worth a lot of money.
Where did you get it?
Well, I got it directly from Semie Mosley.
Really? That's really, really cool. I know a little bit about him. I know that he started off repairing guitars and then actually started making guitars. So why is it a prototype?
It's a prototype because when he was at a guitar convention in Europe, he met a Spanish luthier who was building flamenco guitars with violin joints. And they had such a remarkable tone that Semie thought gospel musicians should have something that sings when they do the Lord's work. So consequently, he came back and he did this prototype.
Okay.
He hand wound the pickups. He made the pick guards and the volume plate, and it's built with violin joints.
All right, that's extremely interesting. Right around Semie Mosley's time, the late 50s, early 60s, gospel, blues, and rock and roll were exploding. So people like Mosley really started experimenting with new sounds. I mean, it looks brand new. I mean, there's one little chip here, but there's no belt buckle marks on it. That's definitely cool. You got paperwork on all this?
Yes, this guitar is probably the most well-known rare guitar anywhere. It's listed in the celebrity registry. 009, 1965 gospel prototype, blue, Semie Mosley's personal gospel.
All right, I'm interested. It sounds really, really cool. Jimi Hendrix, the Beach Boys, Kurt Cobain, these are just a few of the guys who have played Mosrites. So if this is the actual gospel prototype, there will definitely be a market for me to sell this thing. How much do you want for it?
Well, it's about the rarest prototype guitar that exists. At a high-energy auction event, it would bring somewhere between $200,000 and $250,000. Now, I know this is not an auction, but realistically, I'd take $100,000 for it.
Quite frankly, that sounds expensive. Let me give a buddy of mine a call. Deals in rare guitars all the time.
Great, I welcome that. However, you should know, since I've had this guitar since 1969 continuously and got it from the guy who made it, I am considered the industry expert on this guitar.
Okay, well, it's not that I don't trust you, but, you know, if I started trusting my customers, I wouldn't be in business long.
I understand.
You understand?
Sure.
So I will be right back.
Thanks.
The moment you walk into my store and try and sell me something, you are no longer the expert. I have to get an unbiased opinion on what this thing is worth before I make an offer. Jesse, my man, what's up?
Come on. So is this the Mosrite in question?
Yes.
It is a really cool guitar, man. Very, very cool. Where'd you get this at?
I got it from Semie Mosley, the man who made it for his own use.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. My idol, Johnny Ramone, played a Mosrite.
Absolutely.
Mosley, he's a really interesting guy. I mean, he's got his start doing repairs.
Yeah.
Apprenticed under Rickenbacker. Mosrite is one of my favorite companies, and I'm a big fan of surf music. If you ever listen to any surf music from the 1960s, that really cool, reverby, twangy guitar, that's the Mosrite guitar.
He's telling me this is the prototype, the only one that exists like this, and wants a lot of money for it.
This is kind of a pretty well-documented guitar. There's a couple things I can get a date on this. The Mosley tailpiece, for one. The Mosley out of California on the pickups. The style of the knobs. I would say this guitar is probably 67 or 68. The serial number is GA009. So, this is the prototype gospel guitar.
All right, big question. What do you think it's worth?
Well, I've seen one of Johnny Ramone's Mosrites that was very well documented and played guitar. Went for right around $35,000, $40,000. In the guitar market of today, a realistic selling price on this instrument would probably be $25,000.
That's absolutely ridiculous because it's been appraised over the years. Back in the 90s, it was appraised at a minimum of $100,000, and that was in the 90s.
I'm just saying, from knowing what I've just recently sold myself, I don't think anybody's going to step up that high for it.
Well, the guitar's been insured for $100,000 or better.
I mean, I can
Since
insure my shoes for
1992.
$100,000 with an insurance company.
I understand that, but your number's not realistic. It's a really rare piece.
Prototypes of Les Pauls at the Les Paul auction did not bring $100,000. Les Paul is credited with inventing the solid body electric guitar. That's why I'm giving this the $25,000 mark in my eyes.
I can't agree with your assessment.
Oh, yeah. And that's we're just at where we are. I mean,
Thanks,
sorry
Jesse.
about that. You know, it was really cool to see Semie's guitar, but to be honest with you, I'm just kind of glad I got out of there without a black eye.
He can't know what I know about it after 44 years.
Okay. He just told us that Les Paul's prototypes went for less money than you're asking.
It's not only rare, but it's also beautiful.
It's a cool guitar, I'll give you that. But one of a kind doesn't always bring a fortune.
Come on, you know you like it.
Obviously, we're not going to make a deal, so all I can tell you is good luck.
Thanks. I think he just made a huge mistake. I know when it goes to an auction house that recognizes this guitar and knows how to market it, I'll probably get $200,000 or more for it.
What do we got here? I got an old Stevens shotgun, 3 triggers. It's been in the family for about 60 years. I travel around the country with my line of work, and I've been toting the shotgun around for the last 15 years.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an insurance adjuster.
Sounds like you should have a briefcase, not a shotgun.
I came to the pawn shop today to see what kind of money I can get out of my rare 3-trigger, 12-gauge shotgun. I hope today I get a check for $100,000. One thing that I think is really cool about the shotgun is because of the 3rd trigger, is the one that opens up the breech.
Okay, so instead of the little lever on the side, they use that. Okay.
And I believe it was made for somebody special. That's all hand engraved right there.
Oh, absolutely. Stevens, they made good rifles. They made excellent shotguns. We get Stevens guns in here every now and again, but this 3-trigger model shotgun is something you only hear about. It's rumored Wyatt Earp had one. It's definitely badass.
How old is this shotgun?
I would put that at about 150 years old.
It's in really good shape. What you have here is you got a barrel that's made out of Damascus steel. I mean, Damascus steel comes from Damascus, Syria, and there's a few things with the steel there that just made it better. You can see kind of like the wavy lines in the barrel. Pretty much what they would do is they would take wire, wrap it around a solid piece of steel, and heat it up and hammer it till it became one solid piece of steel. Real expensive process, at the time, the best steel in the world. So do you have any idea of what you're looking to get out of it?
100,000.
Are we just shooting in the dark there?
Nobody's ever seen one before.
I've never seen a 3-trigger shotgun in all my life. For all I know, the thing could be worth tens of thousands. On the flip side of that coin, it could be worth absolutely nothing. Would you mind if I called a buddy of mine down to have him take a look at it?
That'd be fantastic.
All right, man, appreciate it. I really want this thing, but when you're dealing with a gun that's this old, lots of things can affect the value. And the last thing I want to do is make an offer and find that I'm way off. Jemison, how you doing, man?
Hey, Big Hoss, how's it going?
Going good.
I've been a gun appraiser for approximately 16 years and specialize in antique firearms, particularly Western firearms like Colts and Winchesters. Well, Corey, I have to say this is one of the rarest shotguns that I've ever seen. I've only seen maybe 4 or 5 in about 16 years of doing this. And most of them, they're unengraved. It's all on the frame and also on the trigger guard. Very nice scroll engraving.
I mean, I kind of figure that to engrave it and make it look that good, I'm assuming you had to be kind of a wealthy guy to own it back then.
Well, reasonably wealthy. I think people back then appreciated firearms more than they do now in a way because they were a sense of livelihood. This shotgun was used for hunting primarily. It does capture your attention with the 3 triggers. Other than having the front trigger unlatch the barrels, it's pretty much a standard hammer shotgun. They were very good quality for that period. This gun's seen a lot of wear, a lot of use. This might be a repair. You can see where the grain doesn't quite match, so it might be a little splice right here. You can see the butt is really worn, like it's been used quite a bit. It does have pitting on the barrels. This gun would classify to me in fair condition.
Well, hold on there. How would you rate that as not being in excellent condition? It's 150 years old.
Doesn't
How
matter.
many have you seen?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, sir. You know, in the gun trade, it has to be in really, really mint condition. I think there's a misconception out there that rarity is always worth money. Most of the time, it needs to be old and in excellent condition.
I just don't know what it's worth.
That's to be expected. It's unusual. Most people wouldn't know what it's worth. This gun, in the condition that it's in now, would be worth about $700 to $1,000.
How much?
$700 to $1,000.
There's no way.
If it were in much better condition, it would be worth a lot more money.
How much more?
If it were in really nice shape, maybe $2,000 to $3,000, and I'm saying that maybe.
Jimison, thanks for coming in.
Thanks a lot, sir. I don't think he will get a better price. If he sells it to anyone who knows firearms, they're not going to give him much more than that for it.
If you're gonna hold me to make you an offer, I'm gonna offer you around 500 bucks.
There's no way. I've done turned down 2,500. I honestly would like $10,000.
If I were you, I would chase down the guy that offered you 2,500 and shake him down for it. I think maybe the 3 trigger thing, it might have just not been practical, which could have been why they stopped making the 3 trigger models. So you want the 500 bucks?
No, I can't take the 500. It's worth more than that just to show to people, my friends, when they come to visit.
You know, man, it's been in your family this long, you might as well
Sure.
keep it for another 60 years.
I'm going to continue doing my research. In my own heart, I know it's worth more money.
These yours?
Yes.
What exactly are they?
Oh, we got a couple of Murray Eliminator muscle bikes from 1969. And that one is actually NOS. It has never been ridden.
So we're gonna have to take these for a test spin before you sell them.
Just hear him say that no one's ever ridden this one.
That's why I want to make sure it works.
I've been collecting bikes for about 20 years. I got into the Murrays probably about 10 years ago. I liked them because they were different from any other bike out there. I'm hoping to get $8,000 for the pair, and the least amount I would take was probably $7,500.
So what can you tell me about the bikes, man?
That one is a Murray F3 3-speed bike. Guy I got it from found it in a bicycle shop that'd been shut down since the 80s. It was in the box, and I tried to keep everybody off. My kids have tried to ride it, and I told them, no, you're not riding this one.
All right.
And this one is a Murray Eliminator Mark II 5-speed. This is the first year they offered these. They're pretty unique because of the Pritzl handlebars, kind of funky. This one has a brake shift. They called it a drag shifter. You would pull it down and it would lock the back wheel up, and you'd be able to make a cool burnout. And then this is a billboard chain guard. This is all new for Murray. They made the chain guard big and loud to make the kids go ooh and ah.
Any particular reason you got Murrays instead of Schwinn's, or?
Yes. I've been collecting bikes for about 20 years, and I started collecting Schwinn's like most guys do, and I just said, you know what? I want to collect something that nobody has. I seen these on a picture, and I thought, I gotta have one of these.
All right. Yeah, in late 1950s, early 1960s, a lot of people started customizing cars. There was a lot of motorcycle movies out there. Naturally, kids started doing it with their bicycles. Schwinn was like one of the first people to catch on and start doing the big sissy bars, and they called them wheelie bikes. Schwinn was extremely successful with the Stingray, and so Murray said, hey, sounds like a good idea to us. Yep. So they started making them too. Murray has been producing bikes since the 1930s. And while at first they were pretty expensive, they eventually became known by their competitors as the ones to follow when it came to pricing. Kind of like us here at Gold and Silver. What do you want to do with them, man?
I'd like to sell them.
Any idea of how much you're looking to get, or?
This one I'm asking $6,000 for, and that one I'm asking $2,000 for.
It's a lot of money for Murray's, man. They're all original, everything?
Yes, they're all original, down to the nuts and bolts.
All right. You mind if I have a buddy come down and check them out?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Let me bring in somebody that I know that can kind of tell me a little bit about these. Let me know if they're all original and everything
Sounds
like
good.
that. All right, I'll be right back.
All right. I pretty much know what it is, and I'm open to somebody coming in and basically confirming my knowledge and what I have.
Got some Murray Eliminator bikes. Nice. Back in the 50s, across the country, people were customizing motorcycles. Same thing was going on with the bikes back then. Guys were customizing their bikes and making them look like the choppers they were seeing out there. So in '62, Huffy came out with the first of the muscle bikes. They came out with this type of styling. And then you had the Stingray that came out a year after that. And Murray was trying to get on the bandwagon too. They started coming out with this F-Series, and they made that bike from '67 for about 10 years. And this style of bike, I believe, only came out 1 year, which was '69. And this had all the bells and whistles. I mean, this is definitely the holy grail when it comes to Murray bikes here.
All right.
So what are your concerns, Corey?
You want to give them a look over, see if they're all original?
Okay, yeah, I'll check them out. There's a few things we look for. We want to see the tampos are original here. You know, we got a few nicks, and the Cobra tampo seems to be coming off a little bit, but all looks original, all feels right. All the chrome seems right, doesn't seem like it's been refinished. What we're looking for is factory correctness, and everything's factory correct. All the parts are original. This is exactly the way the bike would have looked like. Let me look over this one. What I love is just the feel of the seat. I mean, it seems like you've stored them in a nice, cool place because they're not hard or cracking. That's what you want to see. Everything checks out. Everything's 100% original on both of them.
All right. It's a big question, man. What do you think they're worth?
Well, that bike there, about $1,200.
Okay.
You don't think the fact that being NOS would make it worth a lot more?
$1,200. Be the premium on that bike. This bike here, definitely the holy grail. You don't see too many of these come to market. $3,000 to the right buyer.
Yep, Johnny, I appreciate you, man.
All right, take care, guys. The sellers seem to disagree with my appraisal, but just like the stock market, these items go up and down all the time. The Mark II is one of the more sought-after Murray bikes, but in today's market, I believe it would bring $3,000 tops.
So, I'll go 3 for the pair, or if you just want to sell me this one, I'll do 700.
I can't do that. I've got more than that in that one. I got to have at least 15. And I can't go down any lower than 5,500 on this one.
Man, we are really, really far off, buddy. Looks like we're not gonna make a deal.
All right.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you.
Guess I won't be riding the bike today.
They definitely made a mistake today. They'll never find another one like that in the same condition. You know, they're lost.
What do we have here?
This is a Hohner Harmonica store display.
Okay, we've all played a harmonica once in our lives.
Right, we have.
And we thought we were good at it.
I'm at the pawn shop today to try to sell my giant Hohner Harmonica store display. I found it about 3 years ago at a flea market in California. It just looks like a giant harmonica, so it's fun to display, and I've just got it in my office right now. I am asking $500 for the harmonica. Just from doing some research, I think that's what it's worth.
It's really cool. So we got M. Hohner here, which is Matthias Hohner. Matthias Hohner was born in Germany in the 1830s. He was an apprentice to some watchmakers. In the 1850s, though, he realized the watch business for an individual watchmaker was going away very, very quickly. There was all these watches from the United States flooding Europe because they had a manufacturing process that could make watches a lot less expensive than they can in Europe. So he saw the writing on the wall, but he was also working with an instrument maker and got really, really interested with the harmonica. And he started off making a quality harmonica, ended up getting salespeople in the United States, and the United States just fell in love with the harmonica, especially when blues music hit the scene in the 1870s. At one point, they were selling 10 million harmonicas a year.
Wow.
Okay, so I mean, this is probably 60s or 70s. This would have been in most likely a music store or some department stores, you know, that might have carried them. You know, it's plastic.
Right.
You know, back in the day, though, like they'd build giant ones for like big department stores. They put out in the window there that were actually metal and actually worked and everything else like that. And this one is sort of cool because it's the Marine Band one, okay? And I'm pretty sure that's John Philip Sousa right there. John Philip Sousa was a rock star. You wouldn't think of like a Marine Corps band being like the hippest, coolest music, but back around the 1890s it was. They were very, very popular. And in his Marine Band, he actually had a guy playing a harmonica. It's cute. I mean, it doesn't light up or anything, which would be cool.
No,
and,
it sure doesn't.
It's non-functioning. So, big thing, how much you want for it?
I want $500 for it.
Okay. It's really, really cool, but it's not $500 cool. If it was even non-functioning metal and wood, you know, we'd be getting in the ballpark.
Okay, all right.
It's plastic, and it's not in the greatest shape.
I don't know, it's not too bad a shape.
The cardboard's coming off.
Okay.
Here's 75 bucks for it.
It cost me $150 to fill my truck up with gas right now. I can't take 75 bucks for it. How about if we meet in the middle at like 400?
Nah, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 100 bucks for it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for that, I'd probably just hang on to it. I think it's cool, and I think it's worth more money than that.
No.
Okay.
All right, if you change your mind, I'm in for 100 bucks. Have a good one.
Thank you. Yeah, in all honesty, I feel like Rick's offer kind of blows, so I'll take it home.
What do we have here? Obviously, a very old painting.
Yes, I believe this is the earliest known painting by Eanger Couse, and I think this was painted by him when he was about 12, 13 years old.
Okay. I know that he did some Impressionist paintings. You know how to tell the difference between Impressionism and Post-Impressionism?
No.
Blurry, extra blurry.
I took a risk when I purchased the painting online, but the one thing that I'm very proud of is that I saved this painting from ending up in a trash heap someplace, and I actually was fortunate enough to preserve this part of history.
I know a little bit about him. He was a really famous American painter, and he got famous for painting American Indians. It was always family life. It was like a mother and a child, a father weaving a basket. He was one of those artists, I mean, not quite Norman Rockwell, but people know him because he did all the calendars for the Santa Fe Railroad.
Right.
And that's how everyone got to know his art. You mind if I pick it up?
Oh, no, not at all. Go ahead.
Okay, and why do you think Couse did this? I mean, I see his signature there, but his paintings don't look anything like this.
Well, I contacted the Couse Foundation, and I talked to his granddaughter, and she is the foremost expert on Couse paintings, and she invited me out to Couse. And when I showed her the painting, she took me in a back room and showed me a really early signature that nobody's seen. And she's like, "You're not going to believe this, but this is a dead ringer signature."
Okay. Well, it's definitely old, I'll tell you that.
Right.
Okay. But it's also in really, really bad shape. And my big concern is we have brackets here that say 1885. Okay. He was already a sophisticated artist by 1885. He would have not painted what was on the other side of this. It looks to me like these brackets were used to make the stretcher. And this isn't a Couse if it was made after 1885. What did you want for it?
I was told that it could possibly be worth $75,000 to $100,000 to the right collector, but I'd be comfortable letting it go for around $50,000.
There might be something here. I don't know if it's 50 grand, but there might be something here. I have a friend, he's coming down anyway, so I'll have him look at it, I'll get his opinion, and we'll go for there.
Okay.
When he gets here,
we'll come and help you out.
Sounds
okay?
great. All right, thank you. I think when the art appraiser comes in and looks at the painting, looks at the paperwork that I have, I believe he's going to say that it is the real deal.
Check this out. This guy says he has an Eanger Couse, and it doesn't look like his stuff.
No, not at all.
Well, we're going by what a 12-year-old boy would think of Native Americans at that point.
Is that when this is believed to have been painted, when he was 12 years old?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is like the earliest painting that we think exists.
Okay. Well, I guess that explains things. I mean, this isn't bad for a 12-year-old, but for a Couse, it's pretty rudimentary.
Yes.
From what I know of the artist, he grew up surrounded by Native American culture.
Right.
The Chippewa tribes were around the area that he grew up, so he had an early fascination, and this kind of demonstrates a little bit of that inspiration without having a full understanding of what goes into it. Now, since you obtained the piece, did you do anything to authenticate it or trace the history?
Well, I called Virginia Couse Levitt.
Okay.
And she's the foremost expert on his work. So after inspecting it, looking under black light on the signature, she made the decision that the signature was original to the painting.
Okay, well, that's good. It's not in great shape. It's obviously faded. The colors are very muted. You know, it's kind of funny to say this, but I think I'm less concerned about the authenticity than I am, you know, the piece itself. You did a nice job tracing the history and the authenticity. You went to the right source. She's recognized as kind of the go-to on Couse artworks, and the fact that she says it's authentic, that's good enough for me.
Cool.
The problem you get into, I mean, this is a piece that I think would be much more valuable to a museum, somebody that had an exhibition of Couse's work. It's in poor condition. It would take a lot of restoration just to get this, you know, to a real marketable state.
How much would it cost to repair this?
You'd probably be looking at about $5,000, I think, if you used a real competent conservator.
And if it was restored, what do you think it would be worth?
To a fine art collector, if it was restored, it might be, because of the name, it might be a, you know, maybe a $20,000 piece, but that's about as much as you can put on it, I think.
Okay, thanks, man.
Hey, Rick, my pleasure. Good to see you, as always.
If you go up front, Travis has got some stuff for you to look at.
Excellent, I'll take a look. Thank you, guys.
All right, have a great day. Thank you.
The painting isn't bad for a 12-year-old, but when you consider how esteemed the artist became, it's a pretty bad piece. That's a piece that would have interest to a museum to show how the artist progressed and transitioned to the type of work that he was famous for, but it's not the type of work that an astute collector is going to hold in esteem.
I know it's not what you wanted to hear.
No.
I mean, but if you listen to him, you understand what he has to say.
Yeah, I totally understand.
I know you wanted 50 grand for it, but I just don't see a deal happening here. It's just too difficult for me to sell.
All right.
Okay, have a good one, man.
Thank you very much. Not to have an offer made, I feel a little deflated. I believe the painting was worth more than what appraisal was.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's happening?
I've got something here which I think is pretty spectacular.
A magnifying glass.
No, it's better than that. Bam! That is 18th century Onyx diamond authentic spectacles.
Sweet.
I think Sherlock himself would be rather proud, don't you? I came to the pawn shop today to sell a very unique pair of glasses. I'd like to sell them because I have no use for them. What I'd like to get for them today would be up to $5,000. If I break even, I'll be happy.
So where'd you get these?
I bought these about 10 years ago while I was visiting an antique store.
Mind if I take a look at them?
Absolutely.
God, are these platinum?
Platinum Onyx with diamonds in them.
You have to imagine the amount of money someone would have had to be able to afford this stupid of a luxury.
I don't know about stupid, but...
Oh, come on. I mean, you really need platinum, sapphire, and diamond reading glasses at night? These glasses definitely weren't just the type of thing someone could pick up at a drugstore a couple hundred years ago. There's enough stones and precious metals in them to make them worth a lot of money. Any idea what you want for them?
$5,000. How's that?
If you broke it all apart, I could tell you exactly what the platinum's worth and what the diamonds are worth and what the sapphires are worth.
Okay.
But when you put them all together like this, it kind of puts you in a conundrum. You mind if I call my dad over here? He's just gonna give me a better idea of what they're worth.
Okay.
Let me go grab them real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay, thank you.
I think there's definitely something here. But since I've never seen a pair before, it's worth asking for a second opinion.
Hey, how's it going? You've been here before, haven't you?
Yeah, I was with the pedal car. Remember that one? The black and white.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
All
good
right.
doing business with you.
Okay. All right, what do we got here?
These are 18th century spectacles.
Okay.
Old chap, you know what I mean?
So what do you think about them, Rick?
They're probably 1920s, the whole Art Deco style. This was what was popular during the time period. Spectacles were probably first invented in the 13th century. And by the 16th century, people were buying them and personalizing them, making them a fashion statement.
What do you think they're worth as is?
Generally, jewelry from this time period of this quality is worth a lot of money.
Good.
But technically, this isn't jewelry. Got probably 10 grams of platinum there and some very inexpensive stones. And you can't exactly wear these around your neck.
So what do you think they're worth?
$700 or $800.
Seriously?
Yeah.
When he brought out his dad and told me they were worth $700 to $800, I was a little bit disappointed. I honestly thought they were more valuable than that. I'm going to disagree because I've seen similar ones online valued at $5,000 plus.
Is that what they want for them, or is that what they're selling them for?
Oh, that I don't know.
Thanks. These things look really cool and Art Deco, but spectacles aren't used by a lot of people today, so they're basically worth the raw materials.
How much were you looking to get?
Give me $850. I'll leave a happy man.
What do you think, Big Hoss?
What did my dad say, 800?
Yeah.
I feel a lot better about these now that my dad looked them over, but I think he might have lowballed a little bit.
$850, come on. It's a win-win situation, don't you think?
I'll give you the 850.
Good man.
All
Cheers.
right.
Thanks.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, I'll meet you down over here at the counter.
All right, appreciate it.
My dad knows a lot about diamonds and precious metals, but what he doesn't know is how hot vintage jewelry is right now. If I'm gonna prove I deserve a piece of this company, I'm willing to take risks like this to show I know what I'm doing, even if it does piss my dad off.